like this dyadic symbol. These two are more or less equivalent. Yeah, all the quizzes and the dates have been given in your Excel file. So some of you are asking the question. That means you have not gone through even the Excel file. Please go through the details that has been given to you. Okay. Okay. So let me just continue. So gradient of phi is leading to what? Is we can also call it gradient dyadic phi. So what is the example associated with this? We can really get an example. What? We can really get an example. So suppose I have a variable called temperature. Okay, and then I can take the gradient of temperature to measure what is the variation in temperature in a three-dimensional space. What does it mean? This is equivalent to what? I know that this is del x of T. Okay, and then we have plus del y of T, and then we have del z of T. Okay. So gradient of T means, so this is a vector. Why? Because this gradient operator is a vector, but T is a scalar. Okay. Now say suppose I take a dot product with respect to, say suppose I take the divergence of the gradient of T. Okay. So what is this vector? So divergence, if you look at these two dot products, what does it signify? You may see that this will come out to be the Laplacian of T. How? You may just imagine that del xi, del yj, del zk. See, there are two. So ii, jj, kk. So that leads to this del square T, which means this implies what? This is a kind of del square T by del x square plus del square T by del y square plus del square T by del z square. It's a three-dimensional space. Okay. Now T is a scalar, gradient of T is a vector, but divergence of gradient of T is what? It is again a scalar. So in this situation of gradient of T will have what? It will have one I, it will have one J, and it will have one K here. Okay, so you can see this is a kind of variable. Okay, this is a kind of variable. You can anticipate that this is a vector quantity. This is a vector quantity. Whereas this one is what? This one is a scalar quantity. Okay. Now we can really go for different types of operations as we have seen. Say suppose I have a variable which is called, say, velocity. So I have a variable which is velocity. Okay. Now if I take velocity as a vector, if I take divergence of the velocity, then what happens? Then I end up getting this will lead to a scalar. Okay. But then if I take a curl of the vector, okay, then what I get? I end up getting a vector. This vector is what? This vector, say suppose I don't write V. I just don't write V. I write something like, say suppose W. Okay. Now this vector is perpendicular to both gradient operator as well as V. Similarly, I can have an operation which is called the gradient operator. Okay, gradient of V. This is what I wanted to arrive at from these two, because this gradient of V is equivalent to what? This implies what? You have a dyadic product of gradient operator with respect to, this is a dyadic product of gradient operator with respect to V. Correct? So this V was a vector, this gradient was a vector. If you take a dot product, you end up getting a scalar. This is a vector, this is a vector, you end up getting what? This you end up getting a vector. However, if you take a gradient of a velocity is a vector, Gradient of operator is a vector. And then if you take a gradient of that, what you do, you end up getting a quantity which is called the tensorial quantity. Why? Because gradient has 1, 2, 3. You know, this has got, how do I write gradient? You know, del x I. See, this is del x I. Okay. And then you have what? Comma, del y j. And then you have what? Del z k. Right? So this is your one side of the story, and then you have a dyadic product in the middle in order to get that Vx. Okay, or like say suppose we can write simply write Ui. Okay, comma Vj. Okay, comma Wk. So now you see that if you take a dot product, you get Ii, Jj, Kk. If you take a cross product, what do you do? Ijk, del x, del y, del z, and then you have got UVW, correct? But when you take a dyadic product, you know, you end up getting 9 components associated with that. What is that? Say suppose del u, del x, del v, del x. So suppose if I compose a matrix here, I just compose the matrix in 2 dimension, just taking 2, 2. So suppose what I should get? I will get del u, del x, del v, del x, then I will have del u, del y, and then I will have del v, del y. Okay, so this is I component, this is ij component, this is ji component, this jj component. So in a 2-dimensional, I will have 2 cross 2, 4 components. Okay, and then in a 3-dimension, I will have how much? I will end up getting what? I will end up getting a 3x3 matrix, with 9 components. Okay, which is the onset, which is the first gradient of velocity. It is not divergent. This is what is called. This is called the divergence. Okay, this is called the curve, but this is called the gradient of velocity, which is the first onset of the tensor. Okay, which leads to a generic meaning that, say, suppose scalar is a 0th order tensor, vector is a first order tensor, and this tensor is a 2nd order tensor. Then it can be 3rd order tensor. Then it can be 4th order tensor. Then it can be nth order tensor. So what is the framework that we are getting into for any engineering calculation is this, that say suppose I have a vector which is, say suppose a1, comma a2, comma a3. This is the framework that we are trying to fix. A3, comma a4, okay, comma dot 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 en. Okay, this is my n-dimensional space. Okay, this is my vector space that we are getting into. Okay, now here what is hidden? Say suppose ijk, if you do ijk, then you will only end up getting 26 dimensions. But then if you go e1, e2, e3, e4, then you will be like, essentially I'm trying to write this as a1, e1, okay, plus a2, e2, plus a3, e3, plus dot 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 en en. Okay, so this is my total vectorial form. Now in this total vectorial form, as I said that this implies this, and then this implies this can be written as nothing like ai ei. Great. Now when I have ai ei, what I can do, I can have, so this is what, this is essentially what we were talking about initially when we started considering a vector. Now the definition of vector becomes like this. Earlier you had 2 dimension, 1 dimension, 3 dimension, but AIEI gives you the nth dimensional space. Now say suppose you are taking a dot product between A and B. Earlier you were telling what? A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3. Now what you do say here? You say that delta ij AI bj. delta ij ai bj. Okay. Now, what does it mean by delta ij ai bj? You know that this is nothing but ai bi, which is as per the understanding A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3. But since you have made it AI, BI, now you can see that you can really cover the n-dimensional space associated with this. And then what we learned? We learned that if this is the dot product, then we can really go for what? We can really go for the A cross B. Say you have a vector A, and then you are taking a cross product with respect to B. So what is the outcome of it? The outcome should be epsilon ijk. Okay, then what you have? You have ai bj. Okay, and then you have the dimension or the unit vector which is perpendicular to both, which is ek. Now the other opportunity appears now, the one that we have started discussing, that now if you have two vectors and if you undergo a dyadic product between them, then what will be the situation? The situation will be like this, that in an n-dimensional space, this I can write as ai ei. Then I will have a dyadic product between these two. So I will write bj ej. Okay, so this I can write as ai bj. Okay, and then I can write ei dyadic ej. So this is my unit vector associated with that. If I expand this in a three-dimensional coordinate system, I just write a few. Say suppose the first one will be A1, B1, and then there'll be hidden, which I don't write, which is E1, dyadic E1. This is hidden. This I'm not writing. Okay. So there will be E1 dyadic E2, E1 dyadic E3, E1 dyadic E4. Okay. If in an n-dimensional space, in a three-dimensional space, E1. So, here what you do, you write this as to be equivalent to what? You write the three-dimensional thing, since this E, if you carry these E1s and all E2, that will be very difficult. So what you do, you go for A1, B1, row by column. So A1, B2, and then, A1, B3. Okay. Likewise, A2, B1, then this, this. So you total have 9 components here. So you can see if you take dyadic product between two vectors, you end up getting a second order tensor. Now the language also will become very generic for you, that if you take a gradient of a 0th order tensor, it becomes a first order tensor. Okay, if you take a cross product between two first order tensor, it will lead to a first order tensor. And if you take a dyadic product between two first order tensors, it becomes a second order tensor. If you take a dyadic product between two second order tensors, it becomes third order tensor. If you become dyadic product between two third order tensors, it will become fourth order tensor. So this is the way the dimensionality of the mathematics that increases. And that's why I wanted to introduce this early, in this course, because now you know what is the level of mathematics that you have to achieve. Starting, many people ask me the question, sir, joint entrance examination, we have done very high-end math. And at the end of the day, we feel like, we are saturated. We have done something exceptional. No, not at all. Okay, it is just the qualifying exam that you have passed. Okay, you in your imagination, today you will get some glimpse, where exactly it has to go right now in order to really start doing real maths or real physics or real chemistry or real biology or real interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary science. Even if you are going for programming, coding, and all these things, this will be absolutely mandatory. These are the algorithms that has been used. More you are empowered with such techniques, you will be seeing that, this will become a game for you. And then you will see, this is the way the arrays, that you compose in your programming and all. Even if you are thinking about data analytics, even if you are thinking about a business administration, it's a very different thing altogether, man management, where you do not require maths. However, if you are really sticking to your technical skills, if you really want, like, say efficient, technologies, rocket science, okay, different types of, like, molecular biology, okay, different other places where if you want to really make a contribution, you will see this will become very, very mandatory, this type of knowledge. So let me connect the whole thing to the process that we were doing. So we started with this particular slide where we had only temperature, correct? And this temperature, when we thought that, if I multiply a gradient of operator, so this temperature gradient, why? Because we saw this is appearing very frequently in the Fourier's law of heat conduction. So what is a gradient of temperature? In a one-dimensional space, you can say dt by dx. But essentially, if you are really looking, if you for engineering calculations, you need to know what is the temperature variation in this room. The temperature variation in this room is nothing but the gradient of T, which is a vector. Okay, and what is the total change of temperature? We know that if I take a dot product with respect to the position vector differential volume element, and then if I do an integration over it, I'll be able to really get the total change in the space. That will be the T, and this is what is the driving force of your of heat transfer. Now, suppose you may say that this is a Cartesian coordinate system. If I really want to change it to a kind of polar and azimuthal direction and polar direction, you will see that this type of transformation will be necessary. I have 2 slides later on when we'll go for this, derivation of different, cylindrical coordinates and spherical coordinates about these gradient calculations. I'll show you how to do that. But remember that this is given here. Okay, so it's not possible to revisit these slides maybe later on. But then, you can really go for any coordinate system just by doing some routine. So see Tij. Okay, so suppose this is a kind of tensor Tij. Okay, if you want to make it TKL in different tensor, you just have to multiply with this rotation tensors in order to give a kind of rotation or something like that in the polar coordinate system. So first thing that you have learned is, like, it is first possible to lay down the entire process in a 3-dimensional coordinate system. I am excluding still the time. Okay, and then you can really rotate and whatever type of transformation that you can give in a rotational. Say suppose I give a theta rotation, right? So I just have to multiply with this. Say suppose this is a phi rotation, right? I just have to multiply with this matrix with this in order to really get the projected amount. Okay, just remember this. These are all simple mathematical juggleries that we are doing. So we are now comfortable with A dot B. This is a scalar, A cross B. This is a vector. This is a gradient of T. This is a vector. Divergence of V. V is a vector. Divergence. This is a scalar. Curl of V. This is a vector. Okay. And we saw in last class how exactly divergence of V. We can also express this as what? We can also write this divergence of V as what? Divergence of V. We learned in the last class that this can be written as